Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Cool Colas here to bring you the hustler's perspective. Hope everybody is having a good day today. I'm a little tired today, but I still wanted to get out and make a video for you guys. Today I have a pretty interesting topic I want to kind of get into here, but I want to talk to you all about how you can correct miseducation. So you're probably wondering why I chose this topic. Well, this topic in particular is a very median transitional phase topic that is not really discussed very much, but I think it's very important because this is kind of the reason why a lot of people are in the situation they're in, specifically younger people who just came out of school and are trying to figure out their lives and they're trying to figure out this new world that is totally different than what they actually expected. Miseducation in a lot of forms deals with this idea that a person is only being taught by a particular education system. That education system may vary. However, the education is limited to that. They are not taught by any other source. And then a miseducation could also be looking at different sources that may not be informative or helpful to formulate an accurate opinion based off of accurate information. So, in other words, I think that miseducation happens too often because others believe that the education system alone is going to be their ideal way to be able to feel as though they are educated. So, the first thing is that I think most people, or a large number of people who actually went to school and got a college degree, including myself, have been miseducated by the education system. In other words, they have been educated to believe that they have a mastery in whatever they're supposed to be doing in their job once they get out of school, which is not necessarily true because school tends to miss a lot of those hands-on aspects, the hands-on aspects that you can't get in real life experiences, in skills trades, or in anything like that. But in school where you think you're actually learning something, again, you're still not learning life skills. You're still not learning things about finances. You're still not learning all the important things that are going to matter no matter what your profession is. A lot of other people, and I feel this way, and I feel this is something that relates to this point. A lot of people feel as though they're educated, but in turn, I believe they are what I call educated idiots. Those are people who have put themselves on somewhat of a pedestal. So it's like self-pedestaling. Like, I made that little term up for you guys, but self-pedestaling is when you feel as though because you've been educated by higher education or some type of education system that you are educated, but in fact you forget to realize that there are so many other things that you can continue to learn, and there's so many other things that you have not probably learned from the education system, again, such as those life skills and those hands-on experiences, some of those skills trades, some of the things that are actually going on in this ever changing world, things that are going on in social media, like how to understand like your money, where to put your money, how to invest your money. Those types of things aren't taught again in the education system, and these educated idiots, as I said, are self-pedestaling themselves because they feel as though they are educated slash more educated than other people because they have experienced this level of higher education. Now, some people may not go out and say, "Oh, I'm educated and you're not." So, but again, they might. My point is that what a lot of people tend to do is, and I think this is more of an older mindset with I guess an older mindset that is taught to a younger base. So a younger base of people are believing this older mindset, but this idea of, oh, success is bounded to the fact that you are going to be educated. Education is power and it's everything. And I don't disagree. Education is power and it is everything. But most of the time when people are speaking on education, they're speaking on higher education, such as going to college or being in an education system alone. They're not speaking on reading up on sources, going on social media, going on the internet, doing your own research. Because right now we have a full world that is literally exposed to us all over the internet, where we can find the information that we want in order to get what we need. And you don't really hear a lot of people who are preaching about how higher education is the basis to getting an education, talking the same things about what's going on the internet, because a lot of them are resisting change. So they don't even believe in the goodness of what can come from social networking and what can come from the internet and what can come from doing further research from the technology that has been given to us. They see it as a bad thing, a thing that's unlike everything that's done in an old world way. So therefore it's bad. Instead, they don't really see that it's good, and it's the idea of progression and the fact that, because we're in a different society and it's a different time period, that this is what is supposed to happen, and this is signs of progression and signs of evolution. So, another thing too is nothing that made me want to talk about this topic is that there's too much arbitrariness in education and what has offered to people. So, in other words, I feel that there are some people that go for a degree, or they're going to go for a certain degree, and they feel as though, like, some of the degrees that they go for, like, or some of the degrees they hear about are not lucrative, like in the long run, meaning like they could go for a certain degree that may not help them to get a job later, and then they could go for a different degree that may help them. So, not to sound confusing, but basically they may see something like, for example, a history degree, a business management degree, or a business degree itself, and then say, oh, all those, or criminal justice even, and say, oh, all of those degrees are phooey. So, I'm not going to go after them because I'm not going to get a good job. And then instead they go after an engineering degree, or trying to become a doctor, or doing occupational therapy or something like that. And then what tends to happen is, and I can at least vouch for this happening, at least to me, is people tend to think that, oh, because I went after these really powerful science degrees, that I'm in the safe zone and I'll be able to get a job and it won't be hard. And it is very difficult. It's extremely difficult, even with those really high up degrees, because I've heard so much about people talking about how the problem with a lot of younger people is the fact that they're not choosing degrees that are going to be profitable in the real world. The fact of the matter is that it's arbitrary for everybody. There are some people who are getting jobs out of this process, like right out of college, and there's a lot more people who are not. So a lot more people who are sitting in their parents' basements looking for jobs while their parents are probably hackling them and saying, when are you going to get out, or you better get out, or you can't even come back, matter of fact. And then they can't find a job, and then they got student loans chasing them, of course, if you didn't get scholarships. But again, that's if you had somebody to tell you that you need to get scholarships in order to go to college. But hey, whatever. My point is that there's just so much arbitrariness that goes on. This is how I feel like it should go. If I'm going to college and I pay my money, heaven forbid, and I say heaven forbid because I feel as though education should be free, but of course it's not. But whatever. If I pay my money to go to college and I'm expecting to get a certain product out, it should be a damn good product. In other words, let's say, and I think I made this analogy before in another video. If I didn't, well, here you go. This is the first time hearing it. You could go to a store, you could buy a refrigerator for your house, a smart refrigerator at that, and then you're expecting it to have this like customized panel where you can select different options. Like you can go on the internet, you can do a bunch of different things, you can kind of like download some stuff on there. Then it has a cool ice maker in there, then it has different shelving units, then it has extra compartments. And then let's say you get that refrigerator after spending all this money on it, and then the only thing that you have is a smart panel that doesn't work, and then an ice maker that only worked for maybe like a month, and then like the shelving units are very small, but they seemed a little bit bigger on the advertisement. Then you'd be pissed. And the reason why you'd be pissed is because you bought a bad product, but you spent a lot of money on a bad product that was supposed to be a good product. That is exactly how I feel about the education system, because that is exactly what it is. It's an unupdated version of something else that it should be. In other words, it hasn't been updated since old times. It's not teaching things that are going to be helpful to students in the long run, or people in the in the long run, more so to say, because when it comes down to it, when people when they go to school, they're only students for while they're in school, but then they're already adults, but they're going to be post graduates who are going to be in the real world. The stuff that they're learning is not that much of value. It's only based on getting a piece of paper to show to other people to say, hey, I earned a degree, so now I should be able to get a job. It doesn't teach any skills, so that's already part of it being a bad product. It doesn't do anything hands-on. That's another part of it being a bad product. It doesn't teach you about how to save or invest in money or invest your money. That's another part of it being a bad product. And it doesn't teach you like those necessary social skills even to network, since they talk about it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Another bad part about it. That's something that you kind of have to pick up on your own, and that's what they always tell you. But why, if I'm spending all this money, like I think the national average is like 65K, why should I have to just pick this up on my own? You should be able to teach me this because I'm paying my money for it. Again, that's like anything. It's just that we're so bought into this idea of education that we tend to be blinded by what it fails to give us. So to me, again, it's like buying into a bad product. And I think that the arbitrariness of this needs to change. I think that everybody across the board who spends their money, spends their 65K, 60K, 70K, 50K, whatever it is, and then everybody across the board should be able to get the same things. I should be able to go, do what I need to do my work, be diligent about it, be passionate about it, and have a degree once I come out, and then go and then talk to employers. Mind you, I'm professional. Mind you, I'm talking about my skills. Mind you, I'm talking about what I learned in school, and then get a job and start in a profession. The problem is that there is no link between the education system and the job world, because everybody in the education system is not teaching you any real life skills. They're not teaching you any real work skills. And then the people in jobs who realize that, so they're total jerks because they already know that all this is going on. They're going and then they're saying, oh, well, we know that you guys aren't really getting taught any skills, but we still want somebody with experience because we don't want to spend money. We do not want to spend money on people who are going to need to be trained. That's going to be more time and money for us as a company, and we don't feel like doing that. And that's the problem that most people run into. And that's why it's a screwy process. So another thing too is that this whole who you know thing, it could work, but I think that it's to be honest, it can be the gateway for someone to get a job opportunity. But the problem is that I think that this expression is a much better expression for you if you are owning your own business, or you're trying to start up in business, or you're trying to start up some type of social media presence for yourself, or social presence in person for yourself, and you're trying to use your social skills to get yourself out there. But as far as job wise and being in school, this is that whole arbitrariness thing. I can know a ton of people, but none of them could be willing to help me. So I'm going to have to continue to network over and over and over again. So to me, it's just so arbitrary, and I don't like this whole this idea of arbitrariness that doesn't help people in the long run. It's frustrating to me. I pay all this money for the education system to be arbitrary. Also too, the other thing, and I get it. People are going to at some point have to do things that they don't want to do. But I think it also forces introverts to also speak up and to be uncomfortable, or I guess like uncomfortable in the idea of trying to find work, because they're going to have to speak up. So in other words, like, you can't really be yourself. You have to be exactly who a job, a profession, or whoever wants you to be. You cannot go in there and just be your natural self. An introvert can't just go in there and speak to people and then want their alone time. They're going to have to do what they're going to have to do in order to make a presence and to be able to sell themselves in front of people who they are networking with, particularly like, people who are trying to possibly employ them. I think it's kind of a frustrating process, and it's a frustrating process because it just, sometimes I think that whole process can seem kind of fake. And I think what's fake about it is just the idea that this whole idea of when you're in school, you're not really taught that, and then you have to like shift gears so quickly to being this business-minded person, but a business-minded person who has limitations of what they can and they cannot do, what they can and cannot wear, how their hair can be when they go into before they go into an interview, how they must talk, the things that they must put on social media. To me, I mean, a little bit of it makes sense, and I think like to a certain extent, there's like regulations that can be done in order to decipher like professionalism. But I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, a lot of it is it's kind of like pretentious a little bit. So that's kind of why I wanted to get into this topic. But let's talk about how it can be corrected, because I don't want to dwell too much on why it's such an issue. The first thing is I think you need to find other sources. I think maybe a mentor or someone who can teach some of these financial basics can be helpful. A mentor can help guide you in the right direction. And I think when you're finding a mentor, it's important to find someone who has goals that are lined up with the ones that you would like to reach in the near future, if not in the long-term future. You want to be able to have somebody around who has solid information and is a good role model and is somebody who can step you in the right direction after probably being drifted totally into the wrong one. So you want somebody who's going to be encouraging and motivating and helpful in that way, that they're going to get you the tools that you need to help yourself succeed. So I would say mentorship is the first thing, especially if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, or you are an entrepreneur, or you are somebody who has a business. I would say mentorship is the first thing. The second thing that I would say is that you need to be able to read a lot. You need to be able to check, different sources and informative sources, and then kind of identify what makes sense to you, what doesn't, and that's based off of an intuition. And you need to stop listening so much to what your teachers had to say, especially when it comes to being a business person, because none of them are business people. Your teachers are simply there to teach you the BS that you were learning while you're in school. They're not really there to advise you in a business-like way for the most part. I mean, it can happen, but it's rare. Most of them do not know what they're talking about. You need to be able to, again, do your own research, check sources on the internet, check things that are going to help you move forward in the business world, check things that are going to help you become, learn a new skill. So in other words, maybe you need to go online, maybe you need to look at things that teach you how to invest, that teach you how to save, teach you about taxes and write-offs and things like that, teach you about assets, teach you how to avoid liabilities, and then teach you about real estate, just those things. So basically you're kind of like teaching yourself things that you're actually reading up on, and then avoiding some of the flack that you hear from some people. The next thing I would say is you can correct it by getting a side hustle and diving in. In other words, it exposes you to something new. So it shifts gears, and it forces you mentally to shift gears, because originally you're thinking, oh, school, oh, degree, oh, job. So, and that's how your whole mindset goes. But what you really need to start thinking about is, if you just dive into something as kind of like shifty as a side hustle, you can kind of get a feel for the business world and kind of start tailoring things to the way that you see them fit for your own life. And the only way that you can do that is to start diving into stuff and trying to see if you can find your own way. The next thing I think is you need to read stories of individuals who you admire and study what they have done. So, but when you do it, you need to study it like it's a science, but more so like not even just their life, but like the thing they actually did. Study it from your own knowledge. So, for example, maybe you want to read about a guy who got famous for doing just give you an example, copywriting, and then you find how they started that process, what they did to get to where they're at, how they reached their level of success. And then what you can do in the long run is you can start reading books or go, take classes, or Udemy's a good website for that. So you can go on Udemy and there's a whole bunch of classes there where you can take stuff on different skills, and then you can just make that a craft of yours and study it like it is a freaking science. Just like you were in school, just like you were in your education system. You study it like it's a science because you want it so bad and you want to make it your own thing. So another thing too is you need to decipher what is positively impacting your life and what is negatively impacting your life. Because I'm a writer, I would suggest this. I would suggest you make a list of the things that impact your life on a financial way, in a business way, This could be persons, this could be activities, this could be like your lifestyle, how you spend your time, and you should put them in a column. So for things that impact it positively and things that put it impact it negatively, you want to separate those things in your life and see where they all fit. And when I say positively and negatively, this is in a majority sense, because of course some things there's a reason why you're doing most of these things, because to some extent it's positive to you, because it's something that you feel or have envisioned in some way could have some type of result, and that's why you continue to do it. So that's why I say, like, in a majority, if it's in a majority positive, put it in your positive category. If it's a majority negative, put it in your negative category, and then like start filtering out those things that you find to be negative, or remove them from your life. And then if you don't need it, if it's something you're indifferent about it, then it's not positive, because it's not doing anything to really help you out in the long run. So there's that. The next thing I want to talk to you all about is what you could do in the future. What I just talked to you about are what you could do in the present, what you could do right now to kind of correct that miseducation. This is what you could do in the future to prevent it from happening again to you or to someone else. The first thing is you need to teach kids, and you need to teach them by stopping this trend of just going to school and then being a job robot and then not having anything as a backup, not having a side hustle. Teach them about business. Teach them about finances. Teach them how to get a successful side hustle. Teach them about investing money. Things that are actually going to matter for their future, and things that are going to build wealth in the way that they're going to see it fit. And then teach them about assets and liabilities, things that are going to help them grow their money, and things that are going to be nothing more than like crippling factors to their money. Be able to teach them these things, so before they even get to the education system, they already start knowing some of the things that actually matter. Again, you need to talk to children on the level that you see fit for them, on the level that you see them actually benefiting. So that's another thing. The next thing too is you need to teach them the importance of ownership, and you need to teach them, all these like life skills early on, and all these business skills early on. And the reason why is because it does two things. One, it teaches them, like, again, out the gate and early on, so they're kind of hip to innovating the world much faster than any of us ever did. And two, it helps you too, because you learn some things that you probably didn't know as well too, and you learn some stuff about your child. You learn about their strengths, their weaknesses, what they do and do not need work on, what they're passionate about, and then you learn how to strengthen that strength instead of cutting out that weakness and then just saying, oh, you're good at this, you don't need to worry about that. And like pushing them to get to where they need to get to, on a business level. I think that doing that early on will kind of set the pace, and it will set the standard as to how kids will benefit in the long run. I would also say, and this is a backup, I would encourage you to have your child or have children do a skills trade. The reason why is because in the meantime, while they could be trying to start a hustle or a business or whatever, they may have something to lean on because they've actually learned a real skill. Now, the reason why I say this is because you as a parent could be in a situation where you don't have that to give to them, because maybe you're just checking this video out and you're 30 or 40 years old and you have a child who's coming up in the world. You're not sure what to do because you don't have anything to give or to offer to them. That's okay. But all I'm saying is doing this could help them in the long run, so that if they get in your position, they'll have something to fall back on that they can do for a while, that they're good at and probably passionate about, and probably that they like doing, that can help them while they're trying to build a successful business, or while they're trying to build a successful side hustle. So that's another thing, is giving them a backup, because what I am seeing, and it's probably the biggest problem now, is that so many people are scrambling to just do things to be able to pay the bills, to be able to pay the rent, to be able to pay for their car note or their car insurance or whatever it is that they're trying to pay, or student loan payments or whatever. Like, and people are just doing stuff. They're not sure what to do while building a business. So you hear all these people, all these successful business people, all these successful motivational speakers, and they talk about being motivated, staying on your goal, and yada yada yada. I'm not trying to mimic them. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not ridiculing them, because obviously they know what they're doing. All I'm simply saying is not a one of them has ever touched on what do you actually do in the meantime. So I am here to touch on that. What you do in the meantime is you try to find something that is going to help you get through. Now, at this point in time, it's very difficult for me to say what it is that you can do, because I think everybody has different paths that they see themselves going in. But my recommendation would be to keep your expenses low while trying to find, a quick job here or there that you can do that's going to kind of earn you some money and be able to pay off some of those residual bills. So keeping your bills as low as humanly possible, and then doing that maybe low paying job or whatever the job is. And in the meantime, like, you study your craft outside of whenever you're doing your job, or like, you do some work for it, and you do it, like I said, like it's a religion. So I think what people are not telling you is they're not telling you what or the type of things that you can do. And again, what I'm saying here, what I say in my blog, what I say in my other videos are definitely ways that can kind of help you get out of that phase. So, I mean, I do provide those ways for you. But I think in the long run, since we're talking about the future here, what you can do for kids is help them get a skills trade so they don't have to deal with that later down the line. So they don't have to just put all their eggs in one basket, relying on this education system that is just going to save them. So I just think you gotta do something, and I think a skills trade would definitely help. The last thing, and this is kind of me going on a long shot here, but I'm hoping and praying it does this, especially for these older folks who are probably sitting and watching this video, and they're thinking, what is this dude talking about? This one is one that I hope for, and I think that anybody of any age can pretty much agree on this. I hope for the reconstruction of the educational system. Mind you, I highly, highly, highly doubt that is going to happen, because the education system essentially is a business that people are trying to make money off of people on, and don't really give too much of a profit or value to the people because of it. So the return of investment is extremely low from doing a lot of these things. So again, I don't think this will happen, but I can only hope and pray that one day it will change into this. I think there should be an educational reconstruction, and I think that should consist of more hands-on activity. It should be less cost, and low cost, like it should cost you less, like going in, less student loans, less money going out, less money for dorms, less money for all that other stuff that is just overpriced. They should stop with the gimmicky stuff, like this institution has been around this many years and has been educating this many people into these different jobs. Yeah, whatever. Stop all that. Just get to the point of what you offer. Again, and that should be you talking about hands-on things and some of these other things I have on this list. It should offer more life skills being how you interact with people, social network etiquette when you're, on emails or when you're responding to people, being conversationalist with other people as well too. The way you go into business, like having business dinners, how to conduct your business, how to write a business plan, those types of skills. More financial skills as well too should be a thing that's taught. So again, how to save money, how to invest money, where like the difference between assets and liabilities, what the things that bring the real wealth, talking about the idea of real estate, talking about the idea of like stocks and bonds, like I said, investing, just talking about those things that are going to bring lucrative money into the pockets of the people who actually care. The other thing that I think, and this is the last thing, is that there needs to be more of an understanding between the relationship of the employers and the actual school. So then there needs to be some more like contact between the two. Like there needs to be some program set up where people are either set up with internships or set up with jobs out of school based off of the fact that they met all these requirements and then they got their degree and did what they need to do. There needs to be some type of relationship between the two to help students in that way, instead of having them out here kind of just struggling to just find what they need to find. And again, I'm saying this, and I know a lot of people can relate to this because I think this happened to so many people. But I just want to say this, and this is not to say that I'm better than anybody, nor is this to say that I'm belittling anybody else's major they did in school. I was a chemical engineering major with a minor in paper engineering, having a tough time trying to find a job no matter how hard I tried. I have to throw out that disclaimer because chemical engineering is one of the most difficult degrees in an institution, and I'm saying this from my perspective. So because what I've heard a lot of people do is they've tried to compare what I've done to, some other people. And my thing is like, again, I'm not denying that anybody, any other major has worked hard, but you cannot compare something like math and mostly science, which is totally fact based, to things that are based off of opinions. You can't compare those two things. I have to produce a certain result, and that result had to be correct. And you can't base, and it was difficult. So you can't compare that with a degree where you might be doing English or something like that. Again, no knock on them. They probably worked very hard for their degree. I'm just saying that we're not all in the same boat. This was a very difficult experience for me because it was a difficult major that I chose, that I was passionate about, that I wanted to do, and then I came out and had some bad luck. And it's a shame because I was told so many times that out of this education system I was going to get a good job and everything was going to be peachy. And guess what? Didn't happen. So, and again, I feel like this is not to just totally stab out on the education system either. This is just to warn people that you need to put in perspective what else you can do to avoid these things from happening, and to correct what has happened, being the miseducation of yourself and the miseducation that was given to you by something that was supposed to educate you. Again, and I need to throw out this disclaimer. I wish people would stop blaming the parents too. Of course, the parents have an obligation to teach their children as well too. There's no question about it. But the reason why you should stop blaming active parents who are actually in their children's life. Again, I'm saying that because there's some parents who aren't. I feel as though they were taught by the same system that these students who are in school now are being taught by. So one could argue that it's because they're taught the same things. They're only passing down their lack of knowledge that they could have gotten, that the education failed to give them as well too. To me, I think it's chicken and egg, but I would say that really the education system is to blame for that. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, logically, they're the only ones who could have taught them, so it can't be put on the parents because they didn't really know. So that's just my 2 cents on that. So that's all I had to say. I just wanted to talk about, re-educating people, because I think that's very important, because I really care about the education of people and people being happy doing the things that they want to do because they worked hard to do them. I am all about that. As long as you have worked hard, you absolutely deserve to have the things that you are working hard for. That's just the type of person I am. So anyway, if you like what you heard today, then feel free to subscribe to The Hustler's Perspective. If you guys want to check out my Facebook page for this YouTube channel, then you can check me out at The Hustler's Perspective YouTube channel. If you want to check out my blog, you can go to hustlersjackpot.com. If you want to go to my Facebook page, you can go to The Hustler's Jackpot. If you would like to go to my business page on Instagram, you can go to @The Hustler's Jackpot. And if you would like to go to my personal page on Instagram, then you can follow me at Cool Colas. Again, I hope everybody has a good day. I hope you enjoyed the video for today, and there will be a lot more to come. There will be a new video next week, and I hope you guys get to tune in, because I think this one is going to be our book review one, so I think you'll really enjoy it. But anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys later. Keep hustling.